So guys, today we are going to talk about digital forensics. So when you talk about digital forensics, what is like anything which, pops up in your mind whenever you hear the word digital forensics? What is the thing which pops up in your mind? Anyone? As mentioned over here, digital forensics, when we talk about, often referred to as computer forensics, is a branch of forensic science focused on the recovery, investigation, and analysis of digital devices and data. Okay, nice. Forensic analyst uses specified or specialized tools and techniques to extract and analyze data from digital devices. This includes recovering deleted files, examining internet history, analyzing system logs, and reconstructing events that occurred on the device. Correct. Perfect. So okay, you guys have also given a pretty good definitions. See, when we talk about digital forensics, let's talk about forensics normally. You might have seen in movies and any detective movies, or these kind of a movies where what happened, as soon as there is a crime, on that crime scenario, what happens, the entire team goes to that forensic team goes to the crime scene. Correct. They do what on that crime scenario, on that crime scene, they have a yellow tape. Correct. They uses that yellow tape to seal that area so that only yeah, quarantine, you can say, absolutely, so that no other unauthorized person would be entering that area. Correct. Right. After that, what do they do? Wherever there is a body or something, they put some outlining like this. Sorry about the drawing though. Correct. And they, after that, what do they do? Markers are used. Correct. Evidences which are there, they collect those evidences. Right. They click some pictures. Correct. Recordings are done. Like they make the videos also. They also do the investigation, interview people regarding the same. Correct. And after that, the body and those evidences are taken to the forensic lab, where further investigations are done. We try to find the RCA. Do you know what is RCA? Abraham, collect and store evidence is nice. What do you mean by RCA? Root cause analysis. Absolutely right. Correct. So we try to do that also. We try to find how that person got killed, what was the weapon, whether he was drugged, overdosed, shot with a bullet from what distance, whether it was a knife, etc., etc., time of, uh, death, and so on, basically. So on, these kind of things will be there, right? Whenever we talk about in terms of your digital, or sorry, when we talk about in terms of just forensics, and just in the forensic portion, when we're talking about that, these things are done over there. Correct. So similarly, when we are talking about in terms of digital forensics, whenever there is a crime scene, okay, we have a special team for that which will be trying to investigate on that matter. Okay, they will be trying to collect the evidences, they will trying to find the attacker, we call it perpetrator also. Perpetrator is another name for it. They try to determine that. If they are successful, great. If not, then that's fine, right? But they try to find the root cause analysis also. They try to find out, or they collect the evidences, they did investigate against them, and you know try to find what actually happened, how it happened. Those things are done. Correct. So when we are talking about in terms of digital forensics, okay, here we have a, like, you can say, first responder also. When we say first responder, it's like, the person who is, will be responding first to that entire scenario. Okay. So what do? They do go to the, you can say, that crime place, and they will be gathering the evidences from there. Okay. So they will be having their own bag full of, full of kit, you can say, the digital forensic kit, which have some tools which will be helping you to retrieve the evidences or the data from the those evidences which are present over there. Here, when we talk about digital forensics, okay, that forensics which is done on a digital part, right? It's just like a branch of forensic science where we investigate uh, regarding the material which has been found. Okay, those are known as a digital devices, or any computer, any hard disk. These are something which I'm talking about as an evidence over there. So we investigate on them, correct? So when we talk about forensics, it's just like a technical process where we recover or collect evidences which will be used in an investigation. Okay, when I say recovering the evidences, what I meant to say is, for example, uh, if there is a file which you deleted from a system, do you think that file is permanently deleted there? If you delete a file normally from a system, do you think it is permanently deleted? No, right? So those things are recovered. This is what I meant with that forensic part. In forensic, it's a technical process of recovering or collecting evidences, okay, which will be used in an investigation. Okay. So when we're talking about forensics, okay, in digital forensics, when we're talking about, you can simply understand in a way that digital forensics, it's kind of a it involves the investigation and analysis of your digital devices, your systems, your networks, so that we can gather some evidences, or we can uncover the evidence of cyber crimes, any security breach, or any unauthorized activities. So here we try to, or we aim to collect, preserve, and analyze the digital evidences in such a manner that it maintains its integrity, and it's also admissible in legal proceedings. Okay, so as I mentioned, we analyze the digital evidence in such a manner that it maintains its integrity and admissibility. Why am I saying that? Anyone who can tell me? I'm repeating that again. Here in digital forensics, we collect, we preserve, and analyze the digital evidence in such a manner that it will be maintaining its integrity and its admissibility in legal proceedings. Okay, what does it mean? For legal cases, okay, nice. This is because we have to present in the court and testify. Nice. Would answer anyone else for the same? For preventive measures later. Correct. See, um, we are talking about the evidences over here, right? We are talking about the evidences. Now, if I have to ask you guys, for example, if there was any normal crime scenario, where some criminal activity happened. So on that area, what you got? You got an evidence. In that evidence bag, what you have kept? There was a gun, you can say. So what will you do? You will preserve that gun, that evidence, correct? You will make sure nobody touches it, correct? Do we do that? Why do we say no one touches that evidence? Why are we saying that? Why do you think, like in a normal scenario, when we collected an evidence, in that evidence there was a gun? So when we collected it, we made sure that no one touches that gun to avoid compromisation, correct? To avoid tampering, absolutely right. These kind of words which you're just using. So here the gun was an original evidence. In case if there was any tampering on that original evidence, will it be admissible on court? Will it be admissible in legal proceedings? No, right? Because it got tampered. So can we say it lost its integrity right away? whenever tamperation was done on the original evidence, it lost its integrity. Correct? See, in information security, we have three main core elements, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidential means no unauthorized access is allowed. Integrity means we verify that whether the data is tampered or modified or not. Correct? It verifies for the same. Availability means your systems and data services should be available. So here, when I'm talking about the integrity part and admissibility in legal proceeding, do you get the point? What I'm trying to say or convey over here? Right? We have to make sure the original evidence maintain its integrity. That means there was no tamperation, there was no modification to the original evidence, because in case if was any modification, it won't be admissible in legal proceeding, because we are now giving the tampered original evidence. Correct? For Ashish, for that kind of scenario, non-repetition and everything, like actually there's a word which is known as chain of custody. We'll talk about that. That is maintained. Correct? So data forensics, we can also say it works along with the incident response scenario. Okay, it is very helpful in terms of incident response as well as in your legal proceedings which are related to cybersecurity incidents. Hari, that's why I said you try to find the perpetrator or the attacker. If you are able to catch them, if you are able to find out their traces and everything, if you are able to trace them back, well and good. Then we'll go with the further, punishment and everything, legal proceeding. If not, then what can you do? Okay. Now, see, when you talk about, in data forensics, so for example, like we have process like investigation processes there. Correct? We do have investigation process over there. Just a second. Just allow me a minute. Just a minute. See, as I mentioned, what do we have? Okay. Investigation process, right? So data forensic investigations, they follow a systematic process, you can say, like identification will be there. Preservation. Analysis and documentation. Documentation. See, when we're talking about identification, so in data forensics investigation, they typically follow these systematic processes in which we have identification. In identification, we basically determine the scope and nature of the incident or any that suspected crime. Okay. When we talk about preservation, we are collecting and preserving the evidences. Okay, collecting and preserving a detailed evidence in a forensically sound manner so that we can maintain its integrity. Analysis is there where we do the examining. Okay. Examining the collected evidence so that we can uncover any relevant information. like methods which are used in the attack, the identity of the perpetrator, or the extent of the breach, these kind of things. And documentation is there. Documentation as in documenting the findings and preparing reports that can be used for legal proceedings or any further action. Okay, so these are your certain phases when we talk about in terms of your data forensics that are part of your investigation process. Okay, secondly, what do we also have is in data forensics, it has certain types. Types of data evidence. Log files, obviously. Disk images, network captures, metadata, system artifacts, these kind of things are there. So okay, when you're talking about log files, they record, or they have the record of system activities, any user interaction, and network traffic. Correct. Disk image is like the the bit by bit things of the storage devices, be it your hard disk, memory card, they are being stored for the analysis purpose. Network capture, as in we capture the network traffic so that we identify if there is any communication pattern and potential threat over there, present over there. Okay. Bobson, absolutely. And we also record for the metadata. Metadata, when I say information about the files, like their creation date, their access time, their file attributes, also their file extension also. Because what attackers tend to do, they hide the file extensions also, they embed it on another file. For example, you might have heard about scenarios like steganography also. These things are also determined with the help of data forensics. Do you know what is steganography, anyone? Steganography. So for you, you will see, okay, this is an image, okay, normally an image, but actually in reality, there's something which is behind the image, that is your data. Something or secret thing has been passed inside it. Clear? Second is disk images over here. Okay, so copies of those storage devices like your hard drives, memory cards, they are there for analysis purpose. Okay, their copies are made. Network captures capture network traffic to identify communication patterns and potential threats. Right, so the network captures will be there. Metadata is also there, as I mentioned, information about the files regarding the creation date, access time, and file attributes. These kind of things are there. Here I have put disk image. So whenever we talk about in terms of digital forensics, what we do, guys, we always create, just a second. Okay. So we always create, some images of the original evidence. See, guys, what do you think? What might be the difference between these three words: copy, clone, and image? Okay. So in copy, when we say copy, we involve like duplicating your, files or directories from one location to another. But what happened? It creates a separate instance of the data, leaving the original intact over there. Correct? Right. Perfect. So when you're copying a text document from a computer system to a USB drive, so after copy process, there are now two separate instances of the document. One in the desktop and one will be in your USB drive. Correct? So for example, if I'm copy the same thing, here we have the data of Bobson, Ram, Sayyam, and Vinny. So when I copy it, here, let's suppose this is of Sayyam, this is of Bobson, and this might be of Sayyam. Oh, sorry, Sayyam I've already used. So Sayam, Bobson, let's suppose is of Penny. All right, and Ram. This is copy. When you're copying it, I was saying like data might be there, but two separate instances will be created, right? The location on the copied drive won't be exactly like which were in the original evidence. The location might differ. Make sense? When you talk about cloning, you can think cloning, things will look like the same. Looks like an exact replica though. BI. So now what happened when we cloned it, the locations are quite same, right? Like looks like an exact one. But if I talk about images, guys, like for any data which is hidden or some fragments are left, those fragments will also be there when we talk about in terms of image. Agree? Like this. So that's why we create the image, so that we can investigate or whatever we want to make any changes, like if we want to perform any operations, we perform those things on your image, not on the original evidence. Because images seems like okay, they are like an original evidence only, correct? So we create 2 or 3 more copies of the evidences or that image, so that in case one gets corrupted, other 2 are also still there, which will be helping us to investigate. So first one hash will be created of the original evidence. Original evidence. And let's suppose we have calculated hash A. Same hash will be calculated for this image. Now, if hash A is equals to hash B, that means the hash B or the image is exactly just like your original evidence. For example, because as I mentioned, uh, they do not the input is same, the output will be same. If there is a slight change in the input, output will drastically change. So for example, if I show you, the same difference between the copy and cloning image is that image will be giving a bit by bit. Bit by bit, everything will be copied. Everything will be, you can say, replicated over here. Whereas in copy, you can say the location of them will be changed. So in clone, location will be same, but in image, whatever the hidden files are there, those things will also be replicated. And why we are saying hashes is used to make sure that they maintain the integrity. The reason behind that is this thing. Okay. Now, if I give any input, for example, I'm getting same. I generated an alert in, oh, sorry, not alert, my bad. We calculated some hash value over here, MD5 and SH1, just to let you know it's demolished, it's no more there. But if you look at MD5, it is starting with C1 and ending with 8BC, correct? Now, if I make even a slight change into this, even if I add a single space, yes, can you see the image? Oh, sorry. The hash value has completely been changed now. Drastically changed, actually, drastically. Correct? MD5. Check the MD5 one. Agree? But if I give the same input back, which is same, removing this space, we'll get the same output which was there before, C1 and ending with 8BC. Does that make sense? That is why we calculate the hash to make sure that, okay, if like the input is same, we'll be getting the same output. If there's any changes between the outputs, that means something happened over here while you are creating the image or something like that. Clear with this? Perfect. Okay. Now the point is one more thing. If I say, guys, there's a laptop, okay, in the original like scenario, let's suppose in the real-time scenario there was a laptop. So the question is, if the laptop's battery is low, for example, it's gonna end soon, or it will be like switched off soon. What will you do as a digital forensic person? Will you shut it down and then open it in the forensic lab and then charge it and then perform an investigation on that by creating an image? Will you do that? When we talk about in terms of logs or history, okay, logs or history, uh, do we have something with the name RAM, cache as a storage? Do we have those things? We have, right? Perfect. Uh, now, what will happen? Tell me, if I shut down my laptop and then open it again. What will happen? Tell me. I have a laptop. If I shut it down and then I open it again, what will happen? Those RAM memory, those cache memory, will it be there? RAM refresh? Nope, right? Memory is erased or committed from the disk, correct? So agree with the point that we cannot simply just switch off the computer and take it to the forensic lab. That's why I told you, the person who takes the proper kit with himself or herself into that crime scenario, they will be doing what? They will be just uh, collecting those evidences, or at least that volatile memory from that system, and then storing into their system. So they will be using some tools which will be not what do we hamper it or make any modification in the data while transferring it, so it can remain the intact, it can remain the original one. Clear? So when we collect the data, actually, guys, often yes, but see, anything can trigger anything, right? Even if I say systems are connected over the charger with the socket, I won't just plug it out, might trigger something, isn't it? So bus, like, first basic thing is what, like, first priority would be to collect those volatile memory. So whenever we collect, the it's known as acquisition also. The another word over here is, I would say, acquisition, data acquisition, right? We are collecting it, isn't it? So it is done in order of volatility, actually. When I say order of volatility, it's like a preferences which you go through in order to collect those evidences. The preferences is from more volatile to less volatile. Correct? Awesome. So in the same scenario, see, while you go from more volatile memory to less volatile, which is your, like, basically, like, your hard disk would be something which I will be referring to, say it's a less volatile. Okay, because there will be there, the data will be there, correct, in that manner. Now when we're talking about the same scenario, uh, in digital forensics, guys, what else do we have is, we have chain of custody also. Do you know what is chain of custody? Have you guys ever heard about this thing? Like, whenever there's a crime scene, okay, happens, that thing has that the entire case goes to the court, correct? While it goes to the court, your evidences, those evidences, while it is being handled by any of the person, Okay, like that evidence has to go through some people over there, right? People, those will be handling that evidences. Every record will be maintained, that who handled that evidence at what time, at what place, and for what reason. Every bit of that information is maintained. Yes, Ganesh, you can say record of data when transferred one to another. Those are maintained, right? So see, evidence is crucial information. Anyone who has it should make sure it is not tampered with while it is in custody. So in legal context, if I have to say, chain of custody implies that that as long as we have the evidence with us, its seizure, its custody, control, transfer, analysis, and disposition must be properly documented. Okay, so it is simply like keeping a track of the evidence in the entire forensics process. Okay, so you can see this is an example for the chain of custody, right? Case number, evidence number, a client name, model number, evidence description, manufacturer, start of investigation, and everything is listed over here, right? So questions like, when we talk about questions like how the evidence was obtained, how it was handled, acquired, when was the analysis on the evidence complete, etc., etc. So these can be answered in the chain of custody. The chain of custody has to be maintained throughout the forensic process and has to be later produced in the court as whenever it is required. So see guys, actually, uh, when you talk about the, a lot of cyber crimes happens due to which we have data forensics over there. Like we have cyber stalking also, uh, like unlike the traditional way of physical stalking, where the culprit they use to harass victim by following them. In cyber stalking, when we talk about a criminal, this stalks or bothers the victim on the internet. So stalker does this by constantly sending messages, emails, or images to the victim, like offline stalking. The intention here is the same, to torment the victim, right? So victim could be individual, group, or an organization. So there was a scenario. Like a Michigan man, they accused of cyber stalking 10 local females staying miles away from him. So geographical locations are no more a constraint, no more a constraint in stalking, correct? So a man staying in Michigan tormented 10 females, all underage, by sending them messages asking them to communicate with him, or he will, send their personal pictures to their friends and family, right? So he also warned them not to inform others about that. So his ultimate motive, according to the investigators, was to persuade the girls through fear and intimidation to engage in Skype video chats with him, right? So that happened. There was this another scenario. Miss Teen USA winner was there. Cassidy Wolf, I guess, was a victim of cyber stalking also. So Cassidy realized that her social media profiles had been compromised, password had been changed, and her Twitter profile image had been changed. So she later received an email from her stalker asking her to do one of the three things he had mentioned, right? Like to do those things basically. One to three things. Cassidy told her parents about the email and they immediately contacted the FBI, after which the stalker was nabbed. So basically, I'm just trying to give you the forensic teams comes into the picture. Whenever such things or activities has happened, whenever there is any insider threat, insider attack has happened, forensic teams comes into the picture. Any criminal activity happens in the country, for example, right? So obviously nowadays we are using cyber wars also, so systems will be involved, right? Any attacker is using systems, so their systems will be collected, they'll be investigated. They'll be investigating about any evidence which can be found over there. Many scenarios has been happened where they have found such things that, okay, first of all, the attackers are there, those criminals are doing what, they have stored some files in their system with a different file name. Okay, so like for example, it's a PDF file, they will change the extension and make it something else. Steganography has been also used, so they try to use such things. So as a forensic people, what we do, we try to investigate on those devices. There has been scenarios where they, like, when there was a crime scene, they investigate on the system, they found out nothing, but later when they did it again, they got to know, okay, in some videos, just like a Morse code, like that beep 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 beep, in that way some messages were being passed. So they investigated and they got to know that also. In many other scenarios, we can say they will be seeing images, but behind that images, message has been passed, right? Things are written hiddenly. More than that, like when we talk about an organization perspective also, to make it more relatable, uh, some of the malwares are running, correct, in the systems, which you will not see upfront, correct? So if you see your, task manager, you won't find those kind of a processes running over there, maybe, right? It's not clearly visible. Okay, they might look like a legitimate ones, but actually you won't be able to get to know what processes are running which are malicious in your system. There has been applications also which you install into your system in control panel under programs and features. You won't be seeing that application. Absolutely not. Okay, but in the process part, where a lot of processes are listed of a system, you can find those things. Okay, so you have to see what all processes are there which are running in a system. You try to determine what are their process ID, parent process ID. Then you try to analyze what things has been happened. You try to dump those traffic, and then see which, if there is any malicious traffic or malicious process which is running in that system. We try to determine those things also. Does that make sense? So forensics can be used in multiple places and multiple aspects. Getting back to the point, as I was mentioning, this is what I was trying to tell you in terms of your, uh, chain of custody, why it is being used when we talk about in terms of your digital forensics. Okay. See, when you talk about digital forensics, as I told you, it can be of multiple types. Multiple type of digital forensics can be there. Okay, we have your, computer forensics, network forensics, memory forensics, mobile forensics. Different types of forensics are there. Okay, so when you talk about types of forensics, as I mentioned, we have computer forensics. So in computer forensics, we identify, we collect, and just giving a bit of more information, although just going beyond that, so that you guys can have a good understanding about it. All right. So when we are talking about in terms of forensics, what do we have in types of forensics? We have computer, we have network, also we have memory, also we have mobile also. So when we talk about computer forensics, we identify, we collect, and we preserve the evidences which are taken from desktops, laptops, or any other computer systems, and it's a storage media for the purpose of investigation, legal proceedings. Network forensics, when we talk about, we monitor, we collect and analyze the network activities, like what all websites has been visited, and if there is any connected IPs, which are usually associated with incident response and incident intrusion detection part. Memory forensics is also there, as I told you. So process here, it is like recovering the evidences from the RAM of a running system. Okay, like we also call it, like whenever you're collecting those things from a RAM, we also prefer to call it like live acquisition. Live acquisition we call it. Okay, or live response also. Mobile based, here we are like recovering the evidences from mobile phones, the SIM cards, tablets, or any other mobile devices. In that way I'm talking about. Okay, so forensics is quite useful, guys. Okay, uh, moving to another part though, investigation on Windows. We'll talk about that, but just to give you an idea, uh, you know um, having a forensic team, okay, that capability will always be beneficial for the organization. Okay, they will be supporting the incident response capabilities, right? uh, they'll be helping for the legal prosecutions, right? They will also work like a security deterrent, by the way. When I say security deterrent, what actually I meant with that is this thing, security deterrent. What I actually meant with security deterrent is, guys, it's like a psychological discouragement given to the attackers. So for example, see, if you are an attacker and if you get to know, okay, for example, if you're a thief, just to relate with that, if you're a thief and you get to know, okay, in that house they have a security guard as well as some 3 to 4 dogs. Will you try to go and steal something out of that house? No. Will you do that? Will you take that risk? No, right? You saw that, okay, there are, you are under CCTV surveillance. Will you try to steal? Where the camera is just pointing at you. No, right? In Corona also we saw that cops were there. Like if you are trying to, roam around for no reason, cops were there to, give you a very warm welcome with their bamboo sticks. So now after hearing that news, will you try to go out, or did you try to go out? No, right? So this is just to give you an example. This is what deterrent is, psychological discouragement. So from an attacker's point of view, also if you talk about from hacker's point of view, if I get to know okay that the organization is having a digital forensic team, this give a very strong impression to the attacker that like in like in like discouragement way, that if I try to perform an attack, first of all it will be very hard for me to perform an attack over there, and even if I try to do it, and I will be quickly detected, and I might also get traced back. So chances are quite low, and chance of getting caught is quite high. So this gives what? This gives you psychological discouragement also. So if a team is having a organization having a digital forensic team, this gives that impression, like that security, it works like a security deterrent. I hope that makes sense now, right? And with the help of data forensics also, we can monitor the employees as well, right? So this is a team which helps and which works hand in hand, you can say, with the other team members like your SOC team and incident response team also, right? Now, having said that, when we talk about digital forensics, okay, we have we've investigated on the Windows systems also. So in Windows, just to give an idea, when we talk about investigation of Windows, whenever you perform any activity in Windows, the logs are created. Do you know that? Logs are created when you perform any activity on the Windows. Even you are opening a system, adding new file, everything like that. So for that, what actually do we have is we have this, you can say, event viewer. Like if you try to open a Windows, in your Windows, if you try to search or run for event viewer like this one, you will be opening this kind of a dialog box. Okay. So basically, a Windows logs. Your Windows logs, Windows logs are records. Here, these Windows logs I'm talking about: application security, setup, system, forward, event, these things. So Windows logs, they are records of events that occur within the Windows operating system. Okay, so they provide you can say, a detailed history uh, of system activities, any errors, any warnings, and informational messages. In that way, when you talk about Windows logs. Okay, so for that, for example, we have application log over there. Does anyone know what is application log? So these logs are contained events. Okay, this log contains events which are logged by application or programs. Okay, so it can include the information about applications, crashes, errors, warnings, or any other relevant information regarding that. Okay, you can also try that. Let me also do one thing. Let me open it in my system also so that I can see it lively. So it is loading, and if I click now on Windows logs, if I click on application, let's see. See. Now, can you see some information, some errors are also here? Right. So this is what I'm talking about. See, when we talk about in terms of your application based uh, logs in Windows logs, okay. So this log records events which are related to your application activity, like maybe any software installation, maybe any program error, maybe any application crashes. So for example, application errors are there. So these occurs when any application encounters an error that causes it to stop working properly. So for example, program is crashed, any unhandled exception, or any resource allocation error, these kind of thing. So application errors are there, application warnings are there, right? So like they can occur when an application encounters an issue that may affect its performance or functionality. Like for example, low memory warnings, file access errors, or connectivity issues in that way. Okay. When you talk about in terms of security, See, in security, when we talk about security, these logs records events which are related to system security, like user login or log of events, account changes, or audit events, right? So, for example, if any user is logging in and logging off, so these events records user login and logout activity, providing them, or providing information about the user's account, the time and date of the event, and any related associated information to that. Any account changes, so these events will be recording it changes to user accounts, and like any password changes, account creation or deletion, any account group changes in that way, right? So this will be helping you to investigate for that. Like for example, can you see event IDs are generated over here, correct? These are very uh, important. Event ID, source, security ID, account name, account domain. Those details are there. See, login ID is also there. So now what happens actually is, uh, do you know SIM solution? So these things are fetched over there as an events. So on that you see those events, these event IDs, and with the help of these event IDs, you can investigate into things. They're very helpful, to be very honest, when you try to perform any investigation over there. So you get to know, okay, what activities happened, and with the help of that event ID, you can look into that. You can see who logged in from which device and every that bit. And according to that, you can set up the rule or you can hunt for things. Make sense? So in case if any multiple login failure attempts are there, so a lot of event IDs will be generated over there. Clear? So they are very helpful in terms of investigating. So every event has a ID. Setup is also there. When you talk about setup, here the logs or the events which are related to the installation configuration of Windows components and updates, they are there. Okay. So for example, Windows updates, this will be occurring when your system updates are installed, providing you information about the update installation date and time, your component installation, when your Windows components are installed or uninstalled, providing you the information about the installation or uninstallation process in that way. When you talk about system, here we events are there which are related to system activity, like device driver issue, system startup and shutdown, your system errors in that way. Okay. So whenever your device driver encounters any error or becomes outdated, which might cause hardware or software malfunctions, so those driver installation errors, device driver crashes, those things are recorded over here. Okay. Any system startup and shutdown ways logs are also there. They give the information about system startup and shutdown processes, like your boot up time, any like shutdown duration in that way. Forwarded or nothing, they can be used for centralized event management only, where events from multiple servers or computers are forwarded to a central location for monitoring and analysis purpose. Okay, in that way. So they are sent to one location, like SIM solutions, you can see in that way. So those forwarded events, what are events are being forwarded. Right now, nothing has been set up, so you won't find anything over here. So, okay. When we talk about FTK Imager, see, FTK Imager is a free forensic image tool developed by Access Data. It is used by the data forensic investigator to create forensic images of digital media such as hard drives, solid state drives, and memory cards. So, a forensic image is a bit by bit copy of the forensic media, which can be used to analyze the data later without altering the original evidences. This is the same thing which you are discussing about. See, FTK Imager, this is an open source software actually, as I mentioned, by Access Data, right? And it is used to create the accurate copies of the original evidence without actually making any changes to it. Okay, so here as I told you, that image of the original evidence, if they are exactly like the same, so with the help of that, it allows to copy the data at a much faster rate, which can be like soon be preserved and which can be analyzed further, right? So FTK Imager has this inbuilt integrity checking function, which will be, generating a hash report also, which will be helping in matching the hash of the evidence before and after creating the image of the original evidences. So it has certain options when we talk about FTK Imager. We have like, creating a forensic image, we can capture memory, analyze the image DOM, we can mount image to drive, we can decrypt and encrypt, we can detect any EFS encryption, we can export files also, these things. Do you want to see it live, the couple of options of that, how those things looks like of FTK Imager? Can you see FTK Imager over here? Yes, there you go. It is loading up. Here it is. Okay. Mm, okay. So it has certain options. You can do a lot of things. You can add evidences, items. You can do the image mounting. You can create the disk image also. See, you can capture the memory as well. Decrypt ADI image. See, opt-in protected files, everything like over here. You can like if there's an image, in that image if there's any hidden text, you can identify them as well using this option, right? So now, for example, if we talk about creating a forensic image, so forensic imaging is it's like it is involved in digital forensic investigation. It is one of the important steps. So here we like we make an archival or backup copy of the entire hard drive. So it is like a storage file that contains all the necessary information to boot to the operating system. Okay, so image disk will be needed to apply to the hard drive to work. So one cannot restore a hard drive by placing the disk images on it, okay, as it needs to be opened and installed on the drive using an imaging program. So single hard drive can be you can say store many disk images, and disk images can also be stored on the flash drives with a larger capacity. So here, like when you talk about FTK Imager, okay, you will see this window appears. In this window, what we do, we simply click on to create a disk image, this part, right? Once we go with that, you can see it is asking for the source. Please select the source evidence type, right? So you can choose a source based on the drive you have. It can be physical or it can be a logical drive depending on your evidences. So when we talk about physical drive, it is the primary storage hardware or the component you can say within a device, which is used to store, retrieve, and organize the data. When we talk about in terms of logical drive, this option, basically it is generally a drive space that is created over a physical hard disk. Okay, so it is parameter and function because it operates independently. So okay, for example, let's see. Um, okay, just taking one thing. What we can go with. All right. Here we can add the destination path. Okay. So right now, sorry, we are choosing the source. We have chosen the source of drive that we want to create an image copy of. Okay. So here C and DFS. Please select from the following available devices. Source drive selection we are doing. Okay. So let's suppose if I continue with that. Okay. Okay, create image option, we got it over here. Now we can do what image destination is asked. Image source we already got. Image destination is asked. Okay, so we can do what, we can add the destination path like this here. It is giving us a couple of options, right? In terms of, please check the destination image type. It is asking for the destination type over here. It is like selecting the image format that we want to create. Different formats are there. We have raw, which is DD. It's like a bit by bit copy of the original evidence, which is created without any additions and or deletions. So they do not contain any metadata over here. Smart is also there. It is an image format that was used for Linux, which is not popularly used anymore, I would say. E01 is there. It stands for encase evidence file, which is a commonly used format for imaging. AFF stands for advanced forensic format, that is an open source format type. Okay, just giving an idea. Now if I go for this next over here, now we add the details of the image to proceed. Okay, so for example, case is like this 001. Randomly I'm writing it. Description, investigation, test. Okay, examiner, for example, 𝐀𝐠𝐞𝐧𝐝. Notes, no need to add that right now. Simply click on next. Okay, image destination folder. Browse. Let's suppose this is okay. We'll talk about C. Users. I'm just creating a folder. Okay, image file name. Whoa, what happened? Next. Sorry, my bad. Like this. Here, desktop. We just created a folder, right? That's inside toolkit it is. Okay, no worries. Okay. Image file name. This way. Simple. If you want to encrypt, you can use the AD encryption. Can you see this? You can encrypt that way as well. Okay. We can click on finishing after this. Can you see this option, guys? Verify images after they are created. Okay, to start, it will take some time, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, it will take some time. Rana, this is like a challenge only, right? In digital forensics we talk about, isn't it? That's kind of a challenge only. See, might be like any forensic image tool or like data recovery softwares. They can also help us, right? And data recovery softwares, which can be used basically to recover data from those damaged or corrupted storage media. So this will take some time. This is just to give an idea. This is how these options can be utilized. Okay, it's just to give an idea about it. If you want to learn more into that, let me know. What it does basically after this will be giving you the hashes. Okay, MD5, SHA, in that way. So hash result will be generated which verifies the MD5 hash or SHA-1 hash and the presence of any bad sector over there. So this way you can basically do the disk imaging. Similarly, you can capture the memory forensics can be done and all those things. See, as I told you, this there was an option we can do that. Higher installation, obviously that will do that. As I told you, like when the forensic image or like the first responder will be doing that, while doing it, they will be having their own system. The connectivity will be there, so they will be connecting with the some tools which won't be doing that things for them. Okay, it won't be generating such things. So just canceling it out. Yes, and just blocking it in between. Close it. Okay. So this was one thing. Okay, this was one thing. Similarly, one last tool just to give an idea about it. Soon in another webinar, you can say we'll be showing you the practicalities of it. So meanwhile, just to give an idea about that tool, let me show you that. Have you guys heard about volatility framework? Okay, let me show you the volatility framework also. Okay, just allow me a minute. Let me open that. It should be in toolkit somewhere. Okay, this is the volatility. See, when we are talking about the volatility part, just take it to the slide also. See, as I told you, volatility framework, it's again one of the open source memory forensics framework, which is used for analyzing the volatile memory or RAM from digital devices such as computers, smartphones, and embedded systems. It is particularly valuable in incident response, malware analysis, and digital forensics investigation. Okay. So as I told you, like our attackers they are now so smart that they have been so creative nowadays that in their crime they have started looking out for the methods to hide their data in the volatile memory of the systems, right? So this is like to get a live memory acquisition or to do the forensic analysis, which I was telling you before, like you should look out for the processes which are running, which might be hidden and you might not be knowing about it, or which are not showing upfront or are running with the different names. You try to acquire them using the volatility framework only. But look out for or do the analysis of your volatile memory. So when we talk about um, volatility, let me show you that how it looks like. This is a tool, right? All right, I will simply write CMD over here. Let's see. Opened it twice. Just a minute. How to go with that CMD fonts to be zoomed? Is there any shortcut key? Anyone knows that? Control plus plus. I'm trying that. Oh, see, it will be released after 2 or 3 days on our YouTube channel. Okay, it's visible now, right? I just tried to zoom in. Okay, so I just zoomed in so that we can have an idea about this one. So now, okay, to check on this one, okay. Volatility has its a helping section. If I should show you, multiple options are there. See, whoa, well, okay, spelling mistake. Volatility. CS, I just entered CMD over there, and the drive, folder where it was installed, like this. I just wrote CMD, and it will open it automatically for you, like this. That's it. Shortcut. Otherwise, you can run those things. Now, see, this is just to give an idea about the volatility. This is the framework looks like. Okay, memory forensic analysis tool. Just to let you know, this can be used by the forensic team as well as or your threat hunting team. Threat hunters also use these things to look out for those malicious files. If you want to see the practicals, in a couple of days we'll be having a webinar. You can see that practical over there also. But right now I will just give you an idea about this particular tool. Okay. Next week we have a practical for this volatility framework. We'll especially talk about that. All right, so this is the help section basically for your volatility. -F, -D, debug option, -F, file name, file name to use when opening an image, right? What particular file we need to analyze, that particular file name will be added over here. This is very interesting one, which is, let me show you, -P is for the profile part. If I missed it. This one, sorry, -, profile equals to WinXP, SP to blah, blah. So this is something which is, guys, known as your profile actually. Okay. This is something which is known as your profile. Even like if you try to click on image info, it will be giving you those informations. But anyway, okay. See, when we talk about profile info, this is, as I told you, something known as a profile. This helps us to see all the context of our volatility folder, like at a given time when we are running volatility, if there will be any particular file or any command that needs to be run and not giving output, that might be because of a wrong profile. So the very first thing actually what we'll do, we'll be finding the current profile. So example is over here, which as they have mentioned, like WinXP SP2 x86. Okay, and rest, what do we have here? These are the supporting plugins over here, which are used in order to do a lot of wonders, like dump files, dump registry. It will be dumping those things for you. Command line based checking, display the process command line arguments if anything has been done using command line. So that thing is also there. Okay, not to make it very confusing for you, let me just give you show you one command, or okay, actually for that I need to have a memory dump or the process running, right? So just let me see if we can do that right away. That will be great. Otherwise we might have to wait. Such a rhyming. You have to give me a minute. Let me see. Actually, I'm not carrying that file with me right now in this machine because it was not planned as a practical to be displayed like entirely. So no worries. As I told you, in a couple of days, like how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to 5 days after, we'll be going through some practicals in terms of volatility framework only. You can always join it and to get an idea about how volatility framework works. But I'm really sorry for that, like that I cannot show you. Okay, I can give you some snippets. That will be a better option to go with. Just allow me a minute. Can you see a command of image info, which I was just talking about, which gives you the informations. So this is a file, the process which I was running, that memory dump which I want to do inspect on. This is basically that file I was trying to investigate on this one, and I ran this volatility framework. Okay, investigating about that particular file. See, -F is there. So in respect to that file, we are getting some information, image informations. See, now the point over here is, which I wanted to show you, image info will do what? When a memory dump is taken. Okay, when a memory dump is taken, it is important to know the information about the operating system that was in use. Correct. So volatility will try to read the image and suggest the related profiles for the given memory dump. Okay, so image information, this plugin displays the date and time of the sample that was collected, right? See, and the number of the CPUs which are present over there, the processors, see, right? Here, so it gives you those details. You can see details of the RAMs and everything. Along with that, it also gave me the profile name. See, WinXP SP 2x86. to inspect on that, and after that we'll perform the dumping using volatility. Okay. So this is just to give an idea how it actually works, how outputs looks like. Other plugins options are also there, like process list and PS list, PS tree, many other are there. But we will do that later in the next webinar. Okay, but this till this point of time, this is just to give an idea how it looks like, how it can be useful. To investigate on that CS, to investigate on that. Okay, so you can capture also, you can analyze them also. Right now we are trying to analyze. I'll show you how it is dumped also.